Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and somebody sent me this file with some pretty good description on what they want to do. They're making a puzzle for their granddaughter, I think. And the only question I have, he's got that he wants to cut the puzzle pieces out, and this is the puzzle board. And if you move that over, you don't really need a contour. Maybe, unless I would think maybe the only thing would be the age of the child. When you cut something out, the kerf is going to leave room for the object to go in and out. Now, he said something about he would like to engrave the animals first, then cut them out last, cut the puzzle board out in one operation. If this is your puzzle right here, and let's nudge that out of the way, and let's nudge this into the center of the board, or in the center of your laser. And you've got everything pretty good. And what I would do first, I'm going to go through and I'm going to Control G and group everything together, because it has an outline around it and we won't need any really problem. But I'm just Control G, make sure you get everything. And then that way we can nudge these things without losing anything. And that will engrave. The only problem I have with the other part is if you cut this out of your board, that thin piece of wood is going to break. And there's a couple other things I would look at, like the letter S. And a lot of fonts are like that. They're taller than the rest of the word. But you could correct that. So I'm going to get off base a little bit and group and ungroup. And then click on that and go up to Object and break the curve apart. Now, when you do that, the center of the D's and the A's are going to be different. So we need to break the curve apart again. And then I would group each letter. Control G. Well, you only have to group the ones that have a center part. And because if you do what I'm thinking or planning on doing, it's going to affect it. And this isn't that big a deal, but if we bring in an indexing line, you can see that the S is lower than that. Bring in another indexing line, and we can see that the S is a little bit taller. So what I would do, it bugged me that I did that. There we go. Now we got every letter, so let's just pick a letter. And also, we need to move this one over, but we're going to make the letters 3.35 tall to make them all the same. And then grab that one, make it 3.35. Grab the D, 3.35. 3.35. In this way, I think it's going to look better. And I'll show you just a second what else I would do. So if you're watching this, you might not learn anything by this except for the person that's making the video for. Because I've made quite a few puzzles in my life. All right, now we got them all. And let's select all the letters and either hit T or B to put them on the top. And now the letters are more the same size. Now what we need to do is move this letter over, remembering that his nudge factor is 22, we'll go 0.2, nudge that over a little bit. And I would actually maybe nudge the S over a little bit, go ahead and nudge the O over a little bit, because you want some space so the puzzle won't break. Then we can group that together or leave it alone. Let's group it together, and let's take this and move it out of the way. Well, let's change our nudge factor back to 22 inches. And let's just nudge this out of the way. And now let's take this and group it together for just a second and actually hit P and put it in the center of the page. Now the Allison is a little bit bigger than the rest. of the graphics, because when I had it set, I had my ratio locked, so it made actually the letter a little bit better. But that, that's neither here nor there. But I would not change the cut line if we group these together, Control G, and bring it over. He's got quite a bit of cut line. And that's not bad, but, well, actually, now that I've changed your Allison, that's off. And so we might have to redo that, but we can do that. I don't think you need a cut line around it. So let's just move, or not a cut line. You need a cut line, but you don't need all that. So let's go object, group, and ungroup this. And then these are still a group, but we can use the boundary tool as a group if we go to effects and maybe object and shape and boundary, put a boundary around that guy. Now the boundary is just on the edge, so it's still going to engrave, but we could still change that. So let's just do this, go to object, shaping, boundary, and if I was going to have to do this a lot, I'd make a hotkey for it. As a matter of fact, we could open up the Windows Dockers shape, and we'd have a Docker for it, but we can go to boundary. And that way we can just click on it when we get to it. So let's move over the next item. You go apply. So that way we don't have to do anything. Now the letter should do it all. Do it all at one time. Yep, we're good to go. Now, if you want a little bit bigger boundary, we can still do that. I wonder if we can grab all those and put a boundary around them at one time. Nope, that's not going to work right there because it's going to cut out. I think all the other ones are going to work. And one reason I suggested this is, let's back up here. So let's just do one at a time, and we might have to apply something different because on your first one, that little piece right there is going to break, or you're going to have a little bitty piece of puzzle. Let's see what's wrong with this guy. Why is it doing what it's doing? Why is the boundary going in there? So you can't have that cut right there. So let's go, let's back up here. Let's ungroup this guy for just a second. And let's look at it with the shape tool. See, we got some like double nodes. Pretty good little drawing. Let's see if we can't. Let's see what happens. This is a line. So let's go to object, convert the outline to an object. That might have helped us. Let's do it again now. See, that way we got rid of the interior cut. So we've got all that done. And then if you wanted it bigger, let me just move all this stuff out of the way. If you wanted it bigger, you could take each one of these animals and nudge them down. I'm trying to get just the animal. And that's that same, no, it's a different looking thing. Remember, I ungrouped this, so we're going to have to maybe grab the boundary and group this together, Control G, move it down. So by using the nudge distance, we're putting them right, we're going to put them right back. So if you wanted it bigger, wow, that didn't work. Okay, we'll have to nudge that back up and then nudge all this D. And for a child, I would not have the interior parts of the cutout. I'd make this solid letters, so I wouldn't have a cut there, because she'd have to put those pieces back in there. Now, with that said, if you wanted the boundary a little bit more, we could always go, let's close this down, always go to effects and contour, and then just contour it like, that might even work right there, but rounded corners to the outside. Let's see what it looks like. That looks good. That would be enough wood to give, and you don't really have to contour it, because the curve for the laser is gonna leave you a place to put the contour or put the piece back in. But if you wanted to do it, you could definitely contour a little bit or a little bit. You don't want to do too much. So what we can do is just do each piece, and I'll show you in just a second after we do this. And this is just like on the letters themselves. We're only going to go to the outside. We're not going to do the inside for, I would suggest. But what I'm doing here, but besides the puzzle board is going to go in there and not going to break off. So now what we need to do is go ahead and select everything, go up to object and break the 18 objects apart. Now let's grab the red, and I'm grabbing the red because it's on the inside, so that makes it really easy just to grab it. And we have a black contour. We can make them red. Let's make sure they're a hairline, and they are. So that is your cutout. Let's just go ahead and delete this. Well, I moved some of the animals. So let's put it back. Okay, so now we can delete all this. So this is your cutout for your board and your engraving. So, so what I would suggest is, put your wood in there, whatever size you have. Let's make it the size of your laser bed. And then I would put these guys in it. And, well, you're going to need 2 sheets of wood. One of them, the exact same size with nothing on it. And then you can glue it in various spots around the wood so it doesn't interfere with the animals. But if you will, all in one pass, and I feel so bad because this wasn't even really the question. He wanted cut order, but I'm just kind of critiquing it. And maybe even, this is just suggestion, use a different font that has more round. This is going to be sharp little corners. Well, they're not sharp, they're rounded off, so it's okay. But then you could put this in the laser, and this is going to be both boards. It's going to be the puzzle board and the puzzle pieces. So I shouldn't speak of most lasers, but every laser I've ever seen always engraves first and then it cuts out. And then in this particular case, I would take some blue tape, and after your laser is run, put it on there, put 3 pieces, flip it over, put new tape on the back, and then take your tape off the front and sand this lightly with like 200, 300 grit sandpaper, orbital sander. It'll sand all your burn residue off, but it'll hold the pieces in each other. And I hope I made kind of sense with, so you're going to have a duplicate board there. So this is going to be your backing for the puzzle pieces to fit into. Now, with all that said, I still didn't answer his question. So I'm going to look at cut order on the next video. So stay tuned. Hope that helped. Thank you for watching.